Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Moms and Some Labels. Two Moms and Some Labels is a platform created for families and caregivers caring for a loved one with a disability to come together in a shared space to commune, network, and gain ideas on how to persevere through these challenging times. My name is Brittany, and I'm the founder of Two Moms and Some Labels. And today I have a special guest with me, and her name is Karen Howell. She is going to talk with us about her company, Soundwave Music Therapy. So, Karen, if you want to take it away and let us know a little bit about yourself.
All right. So my name is Karen. I am the clinical director over at Soundwave. So a little bit about our company before we get into what music therapy is, because I know that the big question is, what is music therapy? We hear it all the time. A little bit about our company. We've been around for a year, and we have a team of 6 board certified music therapists and a care coordinator. So we currently service 10 counties around Northeast Florida. So we primarily go, in home. We do have contract sites that we go to as well. I know one of them has been on Two Moms and Some Labels, which is over at Tender Care PPAC in St. Augustine. We're over there. Okay. So shout out to Tender Care. But we have a variety of places that we go to. But our primary is we like to come in home for individual music therapy sessions to kind of make it a little bit more accessible for the families in addition, especially for our kiddos that may be a little bit more medically complex, requires a little bit extra transportation. And we bring everything to the house. And again, like I said, every single one of our members is board certified. So feel free to ask about what that means too. So,
okay. Yeah. What does that mean?
So essentially, to become a music therapist and pass your board exam, you have to have 1,200 clinical hours in addition to your 4 to 6 year music therapy degree from the university. So 1,200 clinical hours, of which 900 are at a AMTA approved internship. And then after doing that, every 5 years, we have 100 CMTEs that we're required to do. So if you are receiving music therapy from someone else, please make sure that you ask if your therapist is board certified, because believe it or not, Florida does not have state licensure for that. So we pride ourselves at Soundwave that every one of our therapists are board certified. Because it's important to be up to date on the research, up to date on the methodology, up to date on just making sure you see how the field is evolving. So it's just a lot of requirements that maintain, also the standards and safety for our clients too. So, but yeah, so music therapy, essentially the way that I like to describe it, kind of in like layman's terms, very broadly, is we use those elements of music to accomplish not only musical, but primarily non-musical goals. So you'll see us working alongside OT, PT, ST, ABA, BCBAs, everybody in between, licensed mental health counselors, social work, everything that you can possibly imagine. Our population that we work with is everything from, I think our youngest client right now is 1.5 months old. Our oldest client right now is about 79 years old. So we cover everything from post NICU discharge to the medically complex population primarily, and then kids with ASD, kids that are neurodivergent in any way whatsoever. And then we deal with a lot of psychiatric. What people don't really know about Soundwave is we have kind of 2 fields that we cover, but we work a lot with mental health and substance abuse, things like that, things with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. Each of our therapists are, like I said, MTBCs, but like I'm a neurologic music therapist. We have a NICU music therapist. We have a Bonnie guided imagery music therapist. So there's all these fields that we tap on too. But my role and my passion is kids with different medical complexities and neurodivergence. So that's my love. That's why I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that it was so complex, like that there's so much to music therapy. And so I know when you talked about being board certified, so does that mean, like, how if you're a nurse, you can go onto a website and check their credentials? Is that the same? Can you do the same?
Yep. So if you go to CBMT, so Certified Board Music Therapist, cbmt.org, there's Find a Therapist, and you can search anybody by it. So, like, for example, if you look Karen Howell, you'll see my board certified licensure. You'll see when expirations due, all that fun jazz, and where we're located as well. So, yeah, if you are seeing a therapist and you wonder, hey, just out of curiosity, are they certified? You can check CBMT and you'll find your answer.
Wow. And then, so you talked about how you service children from 1.5 months to 79 years old. And so I know that, when we get older and you get we get dementia, or people get dementia and things like that, that the music, it helps with like memory and things like that. And then also for our kids with medical complexities, the sensory needs are, kind of filled with that input there from basically the waves of the sound, things like that. So what does a session look like for a 1.5-month-year old? Like, what are the goals?
Yeah, good question. So with him, one thing to back up a little bit, we have a treatment process just like every other standard discipline. We have our initial assessment and intake evaluation, then we do weekly documentation, and then we do our 6-month follow-ups, we do reevaluations, we do authorization for insurances. So like with this kiddo, for example, I just did his assessment a couple days ago. What we are doing, for instance, at that age level is a lot more sensory based. It might be, for instance, like attending to seeing if you can find just one sound source, any sound source. I work with a lot of kids that are either deaf or hard of hearing.
Okay.
So that's one of the biggest things that people are perplexed by, is working with those populations as well. But music therapy, you can feel vibrations, right? And you can see gestures. So with that 1.5-month-old, that's a lot more visual at that age, right? So we might do some things that are working a lot more on, you're of course not going to do things like following directions or anything like that, right? That's not developmentally appropriate. But we might do things that are more interactive for, like, maybe you're talking about, like, typically a baby holds a rattle. We might work on maintaining that grasp for, let's say, 30 seconds of holding maraca with physical assist, and then fade for 3 seconds without physical assist, and then open. Things like that. 3 seconds is still a long time, so even 1 second. But, or we might have things, let's say visually, we're doing some more expressive movement based with different scarves, or sensory based of doing different hand over hand techniques, approaches like that. But I would say, like with this kiddo, everything revolves in general with music therapy around musical preference. Because how am I going to get a result out of a kid if I am playing Elvis Hound Dog if a kid only likes Cocomelon, right? So, like, there's a lot to it. So music therapy, the way we accomplish those non-musical goals is we have to find musical preferences. And that's part of our assessment, is talking with parents. What do they listen to? What do they respond to? Do you see them moving on beat? Things like that.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That would be something that you need to, know. And then it's like, okay, at 1.5 months old, like, how do they have a music preference already? But, it's just like, I feel like music, it just touches people and in such like a crazy way, from the womb. That's why they say too, if you're listening to certain songs and things like that. And I know I'm always like, my daughter, she's nonverbal, she has visual needs, sensory needs, things like that, cognitive delay. But when I put on music, like, everything stops and she is excited. She's yelling and screaming and trying to, listen to where the music is coming from. And she listens for the beat, because she will whine and yell if there's a song that she doesn't like. But I'm like, she doesn't understand the lyrics, but she listens to the sound. The sound is what gets her. And so, it's just so amazing that children are able to like pick up on these things, and it can be therapeutic for them, and it's just a release for the kids. And it's so funny because, like, when we go to like therapy, physical therapy or OT, and sometimes she'll just sit there and they're like, okay, come on, and they'll try to play like a song, and I'm like, yeah, no, she doesn't like that song. We got to put on some like Cardi B or something,
Yeah,
and then that will get her working. And
I
so
love it.
I'm like, I don't care whatever music she likes, whatever makes her happy. I'm happy as long as she's happy and she's going to work with the music. Then that's what we're going to do to get her moving, to get her work done.
Absolutely.
And so now when the children are going to get an evaluation done, what does that process look like? Do they need to go through their primary care for an order, or what
Yeah,
do they
good
need to
question.
do?
So there's a couple approaches that we take. What I would say the very easiest method is to reach out to us first,
Okay.
because I can include my email and everything as well, but it's pretty simple. It's khowell at soundwavemt.com. But so what the process is that we contact the doctors from the very beginning until the day your kid's seen. So what that means is that all the information that we need from you is just your kid's name, their member ID number, if it's a kiddo that has Sunshine or CMS insurance, because we're a provider for them, your primary care physician's name, and if you have their phone number, otherwise we'll look it up. But all we need is just, like I said, Sunshine CMS is the only insurance in Florida right now that covers music therapy.
Oh, wow.
And fun fact, it's at no cost to families.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
that's, that covers so many children, especially in Northeast Florida, where it's just inaccessible to a lot of families, and it covers it. So all we need, like if you reach out to our company and say, hey, I have a kid, we have Sunshine CMS, we take it from there. We contact the doctors. We have our own paperwork that we send them. We work with them with the faxing back and forth, and we take it all the way to the point that we contact Sunshine every single day until we get those kids authorized. And then we take it from there. So everything, the only contact you have to make is just the initial contact to tell us the kid's name, date of birth, and PCP. That's really it.
Wow. So you guys hear that? It is no cost to you. So that means there is a free resource, a free service out here for you in the community, for your children, for your family, your loved ones, even up to, our seniors. So the service is out there free. Okay. So please make sure that you look into that, and I'll make sure I put the information also on our page. But we kind of like skipped over the introduction of yourself about like, how did you get into music therapy? What made you want to get into this?
Yeah, so I back when I was in high school, before I had any idea what music therapy was, I had a best friend that was diagnosed with autism, and she had a lot of echolalia, but she was still somewhat verbal. But I noticed that she acted drastically different in the band room than anywhere else in the whole school. And I would notice, particularly after certain selections that we would play in the classroom. She played flute, excellent flutist, by the way. And I would notice that she was just, her affect was different. She was brighter. She was trying to verbalize and vocalize with peers that she had never vocalized with before. And she felt comfortable. And I noticed, this is a place that she feels A, safe, B, she feels she can be expressive, and C, she feels accepted. And I was like, this is something that I want to know why. Why is she feeling this only in this place? And so sure, there's probably a lot of variables to that. But that was what inspired me. Is I said, I want to know, how can music work with autism? And is there more to this? And so I looked into it. My goal, my dream at that point, after realizing that my freshman year in high school, was I'm going to teach at an autistic school. That's what I want to do. I want to teach music at an autistic school. And then I realized, whoa, there's this whole nother world that I didn't know existed, in which we can look at all those things that I saw, just the improved quality of life, to where, you're teaching musical skills, but it's so much bigger. And So yeah, that friend of mine was how I got into it. And I still keep in touch with her now. She still plays the flute. So I still keep in touch with her. And, you know, that kind of inspired my love for ASD in particular, and learning just how can this support kids that may not feel they can connect very easily. You know, and so like I would say my personal caseload, not Soundwave's caseload, but my personal caseload, I would say probably 75% of my kids are nonverbal. And we see amazing results because you don't have to talk, you know, like, I mean, and you communicate in so many ways. And it's truly remarkable. So I owe it to that friend of mine. You know?
Wow, that's amazing. And so, like, what are some results that you are seeing, or can you even give us like an experience of, you know, like one of your greatest, you know, like you've seen a change from beginning to end, your experience with the kiddo, you know, that just like made major changes through the music therapy?
Absolutely. So I remember there's one girl that we still work with that lives out in Middleburg, far deep in Middleburg. And well, like I said, we service kind of everywhere. So I worked with her for probably about 8 months before we transitioned therapists, just to see continuity of care, would it carry over with somebody new? And so in the beginning, she's very complex medical conditions, but one of the things that she has is prevalence of plenty of seizures throughout the day. So when we started with her, her mom explained to me, she said she loves music, but she's very sensitive. And I said, okay. So day one of the evaluation, the first thing I did was play my high E string on the guitar, and she went into a full seizure. And I figured out, I was like, all right, so we have to approach this from strictly a sensory perspective, for safety, you know? So I was like, we need to kind of go through this. So over the course of those 8 months, we might start incorporating some different timbres of instruments. Maybe that high pitch frequency was too much for her. So we started going to lower pitch tones. We started using more percussive instruments, started using piano with her actually. So like this individual, she's quadriplegic, but she has, I mean, an ability to, because of the spasticity, still she will reach. So I would say probably the biggest difference was that by the end of this 8 months, when I was working with her at least, that she now was okay hearing that high string timbre again. She was okay with hearing me vocalizing and singing along with all the music. And the seizures, I mean, that first session, we had probably 5 seizures that hour. And at the end, she had, in those last 4 months, I saw her 1 seizure. During that time period, I mean, there's a whole ISO principle that we have of where you have to match where the energy is and bring it up or bring it down from there. And that's not to say that, I mean, there's a lot of other factors, right? There's medications, there's seizure medications, there's other therapies that come into play. But just, I noticed during those sessions alone, cognitively, she was so much more alert, so much more aware. She was identifying sound sources. She was turning her head. She was able to, with physical assist, with the playing the maraca, her affect changed to just bright as day and smiling and vocalizing. And, you know, this is a kiddo that was essentially bed bound. And this is a quality of life thing also.
Yeah.
She loves Moana. Got to tell you, she loves Moana.
And you know what? That's, you know, one thing too that I wish that a lot of providers and insurances would understand about the quality of life and take that into consideration more than they do. I feel like, honestly, I feel like they don't really do that, because quality of life is like really a real thing. And especially for our children that are bedbound essentially, or, you know, just quadriplegic, like my daughter, she's quadriplegic. So, you know, quality of life, it is a thing, and they should have the same rights and access to anything that, you know, everyone else has access to, because they deserve to have a good quality of life while they're here on this earth. Like, I want to see her being able to smile. You know, maybe she can't go run and jump and play with kids, but something like just having the music there accessible to her, having a comfortable bed to lay in every night, like those are quality of life,
Absolutely.
Things that are very important to me and for my child. So that's something that I really want to see. Insurance is taking more in consideration about the quality of life, and maybe more insurances will be open to accepting the music therapy as a part of a service that they pay for and allow through their insurance.
Yeah, and we like I said, Sunshine CMS is kind of our main clientele that we serve, but because of autism, we also accept Family Empowerment Scholarship.
Okay.
We also work with DSAJ for funding with Down syndrome. We also do private pay. So we have those alternative forms as well. We're in the process of working on grant writing. So there's, at the end of the day, we still have only been around for 1 year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're still working on expanding additional ways to make it more accessible for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, parents, we got to get out there and advocate, do what we do best, and push for the needs for our children. If you're not a CMS or Sunshine state holder, insurance holder, we have to advocate for our children. And, maybe even if it's something where the parents or policyholders can like reach out to their insurance and, bug them, be that squeaky wheel about getting the music therapy covered. So that's just a thought. And then also, so I know you said you were with your client for 8 months. Is there a set like time limit, or is there like, how do you know when a child is ready to be discharged? Are they ever discharged? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, good question. So we do have, what's called termination of care, the same process. So I would say like the longest client that I've worked with, it's still in my caseload. I've been with her for about 2.25 years at this point. That's not really the most common. The reason I've been with her so long is we've been working through a lot of trauma. We've been working through moving, like they've moved a couple of times. There's been a lot of health changes, family changes. So it kind of like those reauthorizations, for example, were able to happen because of the family situations that were going on. I would say most commonly, like when we do our authorizations are usually for a year. So the doctors, like the process, the doctors write the script, or we provide the script, the doctors sign it, they provide their documentation, everything, that you would expect to come with it. But I would say most average of our kids are usually discharged by a year. We have some that are sooner, like if there also is such thing as music therapy not being beneficial. It really can be the opposite. It can be something. We've had situations that kids become very aversive to hearing music. We've had situations that they've developed like an additional barrier to really having issues with family members or with therapists. And, you have to determine when that point comes, all right, well, we're authorized for longer, but we need to terminate now. So, I mean, there's really no set way to engage, but we do re-evals every 3 months. So we do our like plans of care, see people however many times that the doctor's written for, and then follow up on every 3-month increments.
So is there any like particular diagnosis or like reason, or any particular qualification for a child to be able to receive music therapy? Can somebody just say, I just want my child to have music therapy and I want to pay for the service? Or do they have to have a medical reason?
The only thing that requires a medical reason is either FES or with Sunshine CMS. Okay. So with the other funds, we're able to, private pay, we will, after assessment, if we find that you're a suitable fit for it, we're going to accept whatever the diagnosis is, and there is such thing as community music therapy. There is such thing as, being able to host, let's say it's a social skills community drum circle, or let's say that it's a group songwriting intervention. those exist as well. But the main diagnoses that we see that have been reimbursed all the time, and music therapists across the state will say this, is autism is pretty much a guarantee. And then really any form of medical complexities. We see that that really hasn't been an issue. Cerebral palsy is in spina bifida, for example, and anything that's intellectual disabilities, anything that is like Down syndrome, those have all been pretty much reimbursed. So we really haven't had difficulty, but autism is our main one. Cerebral palsy and autism, I would say, are most of our kiddos.
Okay. And okay, so you said that you guys are in home, right?
Yep.
So there's no, so do you have a clinic where you service people or?
Yep.
Okay.
So we have a clinic on Phillips Highway in Jacksonville. So it is Phillips and Bowdoin Road. It's in North Jax. So we do have probably about 10 or 12 kids that come to the clinic. But then we also, one thing that we're hosting soon are going to be our group classes at the Playful Family down in Fruit Cove. Nice. So we are going to be offering 4 types of classes for that. And that's based on developmental ages. So like, for instance, our NICU music therapists will be working with kids 0 to, I think we did cap at 24 months. I will be working with, I think, 3 to 7. And then we have another therapist that specializes with adolescents. It's going to be going up to 16. And then we have someone specifically, one of our therapists is excellent with adults with intellectual disabilities, and she'll be leading that for 18 and above.
Cool.
So Playful Family in Fruit Cove is where we're going to be doing a lot of work in the end of July.
Nice. Yes, and I've been to the Playful Family before, and it's so cute. It's a nice little place to take, your toddlers there to play. And they have lots of different functions and therapy sessions and things that they hold there. So that's awesome. And so, okay, if someone wanted to have a music therapist come into their school, like they're a private school, and they want the music therapist to come in to do the group session for their kids, or maybe even do like individual sessions for the children at the private school. How does that work? How can they be able to like reserve that?
So on the contact, everything that it pertains to. So a little bit about our company. So I'm the clinical director, and our co-owner named Stephen Choate is our director of operations. So you would contact myself. I pass the info along to Stephen, and we set up a meeting with all 3 of us. So we are in the process of working with a variety of just various contract sites within different larger programs and smaller schools. Within the last couple months, we've really been working on trying to zone in on contract sites. So that's going to be something that we're really going to be pushing on our Facebook page as these contract sites emerge. But if there is anyone interested, in those school settings, please feel free to contact me at the email that we'll provide. And then we'll set up a meeting and an arrangement and talk about every single step of the way.
And then I know that you said that you go to Tender Care. So do you go to any other of the medical
we
daycare?
Do. Yep. So we also, in addition to Tender Care, we go to Spark Pediatrics, which is Jacksonville based. So we just see the ones in Jacksonville. So we are in Arlington and Cassett Avenue, Spark Pediatrics, and then we're in Tender Care. Tender Care, we are still pretty new there. We've only been in Tender Care for about 2 months now, but our caseload is great. The kids are excellent. The facility is excellent. I would say right now that's kind of where we're blossoming the most. We have the most availability is our St. John, St. Augustine area. And Nassau. We have a lot of availability in Nassau and North Duval right now as well.
And so I know that you were saying that you specialize in neurological, and then there's other therapists that have other specialties. So does that mean that you had to, get minor in that field, or how does that work for the therapist to be
Yeah.
specialize in that field?
So in order to be a NICU MT or to be a neurologic music therapist or anything, in addition to having your MTBC, you have to go through additional training. So like for mine, for NMT, I think it was a 36-hour intensive through a site out in Colorado is where it's based. So we had to go through a 36-hour intensive. So NMT, we use 20 techniques, for example. Everything is super research and evidence-based in NMT. Music therapy in general is, but it's just looks a little bit different with NMT. There's a lot of neurologic music therapists around the area too. So there's practice-wise, there's really not that many, but I know that like inpatient, there are some. So, but NICU music therapists are very hard to come by usually. Wolfson has an excellent NICU program. We work with so many Wolfson discharge outpatients. We really like to encourage, if your kids, terminal care, you're going to be in and out of hospitals. They have a phenomenal program there that we always say, just request it. Just request music therapy when you're inpatient, because that's a different team. We'll see you on the outside, but they got some people on the inside that are phenomenal.
So I know also too, like one thing that I am like a big advocate about, and I was just talking to someone about this, is like how do you find these resources, and like wanting to have access to these resources like before it's too late. Because I know for me, like I was always like, man, I wish I would have known about this service when my child was, 1 year old or 2 or 6 months. But, at the time, there wasn't a lot of social media and things like that when we were in the NICU and stuff. So that wasn't a big thing. So how can families be able to, learn about music therapy, especially if maybe they are just like going to the doctor's office and they're like going for a checkup and they, never had the music therapy before, because, they ask questions like, is your child doing XYZ, developmentally and cognitively, they're asking about, their developmental status, but and then they have like information also about like early steps. But how can they get information about music therapy early on? Have you guys ever thought about maybe going to like doctor's offices and asking if you can like put your information in there or something, so that families can be able to, know that music therapy is out there and, it's a resource available?
Oh, absolutely. We're in a lot of doctor's offices.
Okay.
We do procedural support in one location as well for our kiddos that have injections of various kinds. So we're present for that. Honestly, it's a situation that there needs to be more advocacy on the music therapist part on our front, because there's only at this point, roughly, don't quote me on the exact number, but approximately 28 music therapists in Jacksonville that are practicing. And that being said, our company has 6 of them. So there's not that many of us. So it really comes down to on our end, in my opinion. And we were supposed to have a conference, national conference was supposed to happen here in Jacksonville. It was kind of messed up because of COVID. It wasn't able to happen. And I was the co-chair of that. And so I'm very close with the music therapists in our community. And unfortunately, that advocacy needs work on our end. That's one of the missions of Soundwave that I really have, is making it known. Like, for example, we do a lot of community outreach. Pretty soon there's going to be a support group that we're going to be working with the parents. That's going to be happening. All this happens on our Facebook page, so feel free to look at it. There's a support group working with kids with medical complexities that we're doing with families coming up pretty soon. Playful Family connects a lot of things that we'll do in those groups, but working with those referral sources at various stages are important. But absolutely, like, if you hear about us or you look at our site, and to those watching this podcast and want to learn more about it, say, to your doctor, just say, hey, I heard about this thing called music therapy. Can we look into it? And, like I said, we will be the ones to bug the doctors. So just reach out to them if you're interested, and we'll absolutely set it up.
Yeah, because I mean, that would just be awesome if the information can be made available to families, especially when they're going to those doctor's appointments, or even like when they go to the like fiddlers or child fine, and like have information there so that they can know about the music therapy. And then I mean, I know a lot of ABA clinics that probably would love to have a support group or a session with the music therapist there for the kids. So that would be awesome. So what is a way that, or how can we get information on how to get in contact with Soundwave Music Therapy? Your email, your Facebook, Instagram, what do you have?
Yeah, so we have our main website has all of our information, which is just soundwavemusictherapy.com. It's a little too long. We're about to shorten it. But that's Soundwave, no S on the end, just soundwavemusictherapy.com. But our main way of finding information is our Facebook page. We are in the process of setting up an Instagram right now. We have a new person that's going to be working on social media with us to kind of engage presence more. Because it's just, we need someone that specializes with that, in my personal opinion. So speaking on my end, because I've been managing it and I'm not great at social media.
Me neither. So,
but I would say, yeah, our Facebook page is where you find the most information, because we've got all kinds of things that we post about all of our events, but you can direct messages on Facebook. My email is on there as well. I mean, I would say probably we get 10 to 15 messages on Facebook Messenger a week, and we just set it up from there. So I would say Facebook is kind of our main contact point as to how you can figure out what's going on with us.
Okay. And then you said soundwave.com?
Soundwavemusictherapy.com.
Soundwave. Okay. So if they go on there, are they able to like schedule a consultation, or do they just email or call?
It's all set through email. Yep.
Okay.
It's all set through email, or the direct line number is on there as well.
Okay. So you guys, you heard it here first about this free resource that is covered through CMS, Sunshine. If you have those, it's available. Okay. And you can go onto their website. You can go onto the Facebook page, which is preferred to find, information about community events that they have going on. They'll be at the Playful Family. If your child is attending a medical daycare, the PPEC, then they are at Tender Care. They're at Spark Pediatrics. I mean, they have therapists that specialize in so many different fields, of age groups, or, different conditions that children to adults may have. So, I mean, this resource is big. Okay. And it's really something for everyone. I feel like,
I agree.
And I hope that you guys will go on to the Facebook page and get more information and schedule a session. And then if you have any other questions, then you can contact Karen. She will definitely reach out back to you on Facebook if you send a message, or if you can't get through to her, then you can contact me and I will put you in contact with her. But all of the information for Soundwave Music Therapy will be on our Facebook page for Two Moms and Some Labels when we post this video. And just make sure you go to Facebook and follow Soundwave Music Therapy so that you can be up to date on all their latest events and any new things that they may have going on at Soundwave Music Therapy. And Karen, oh my gosh, I thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this information. Like, I didn't even know it was so much to the music therapy. And it was very informational. I'm just glad that the resource is there for our families, for the community. And I mean, you guys are just going to do great things for the community. So I'm looking forward to seeing what, changes you guys bring to the community for our kiddos with medical complexities, or just even with autism. Again, I thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening in to another episode of Two Moms and Some Labels. And we will see you next time on Two Moms and Some Labels.
I forgot something.
Okay.
We are partnered with the Bright Feets magazine. So you'll find it in Bright
Nice.
Feets. So resources, excellent resource.
Yes.
So,
Awesome.
thank you.
So, yeah, Bright Feet. So that Bright Feet magazine, it will be coming out in October. So make sure that you grab that when it comes out. And thank you again. And we will see you all next time.